What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Pound for Pound. I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C.
You see, it was thick today. It was a little thick today. You know, I worked out. I just worked out. But today we have a very, very special guest. A man that, you know, whether he don't know it or not, but we kind of simultaneously, small world, we connected in some type of way, you know. But a man that needs no introduction, arguably pound for pound, best boxer in the world, Mr. Terence Crawford.
A Shadowline production.
My dog, so you said I got on you right away. Like, why it take so long for us to link up and chop it up? It's been a minute.
Man,
You know?
time just didn't add up. But we here now. That's all that matters.
Okay, I feel you. Obviously, Terence, watching you and now and seeing you get that notoriety, it's for me personally, I love to see it because at one point I was once, you know, the guy putting in the work and not necessarily getting that notoriety because at some point you're an artist of what you do. So when you put in that work, you want people to know, yo, I'm the best in the world. I'm the best. And not only am I the best, not only do I deserve that notoriety, I deserve that check on top of it too. And now seeing you get that and get these events built around you, I love to see it. I'm extremely happy for you. So I want you to just talk a little bit about that, how that makes you feel now, starting to get that. And when you walk certain places, people aren't just saying, oh yeah, that's just the guy that sells in Omaha anymore.
Well, you know, to people that say I can't sell in other cities, I sold out in every city that I ever fought in when I was headlining a fight. So that narrative is crazy. You know, it's cool though, you know, because I always say everything happens on God's time. You know, it ain't my time, it ain't their time, it's the right time. And the right time happens to be now. Politics played a big factor in, you know, me being froze out of a lot of big fights and whatnot. But, you know, like I said in the interviews, all I gotta do is keep winning and eventually things will come through. And that's what I did. I kept my head high and stayed motivated, and I'm here now.
Yeah. Now, Terrence. Now, when you say like, you know, you've been kind of frozen out or freeze, is that because of the whole thing with your former promoter Bob Arum?
No,
Did you feel like you were getting stiffed a little bit there?
I just think, you know, with Top Rank, they did all they can do for me.
Yeah.
They didn't have the opponents for me to fight on the side of Top Rank playing field. They try to make the biggest fights that they possibly can for me. You know, with all the top welterweights that was in the division was signed to PBC. I couldn't get those guys to get in the ring with me, so it wasn't Top Rank fault. I think it was Top Rank fault with not giving me the Manny Pacquiao fight. I can blame them for that, but for everything else I can't blame them for.
Yeah, talk about just that a little bit because we learn a lot now understanding the business of boxing and how tough the business is because it's not just for us. We get a lot of flag that, oh, you guys aren't getting paid enough. But a lot of people don't understand how simplified it is for us, where it's just, you want to fight? This date, this is the paycheck. Yes or no? To where for you guys, you have to be responsible for, obviously, you taking care of your manager. Obviously, now the promoter, manager, and the promoter have to work something out to where now maybe promoter has to go to the network to try to get you that money. And so there's so many different people that the money has to touch their hands before it even get into your hand. And so that's a lot more opportunities for if it's 100 million that's being passed down the pipeline, it's a lot of different opportunities for, by the time you get to your hand, you might be touching maybe 15 million out of 100. And that's a hard pill to swallow, to where, yeah, we get a lot of flack for that, but there's a lot of different situations in boxing to where you don't get that. So talk about that now in the position where you're in compared to where you were before, because I feel like, and I mean, I might be wrong, I feel like you almost your own boss now.
Not almost, I am.
You are your own boss.
But
No, he said not almost. He says I am. Did you hear that?
I am, but boxers get paid more than MMA as a whole. Like, it's no comparison. You know, that's why if you notice, you see a lot of
top.
No,
At the top.
as a whole. UFC, okay, for instance, UFC, a guy headlining at the Spear, they probably be getting a couple of $1 million. But you'll see a guy on the undercard of a big show probably making more money than that guy.
Which guy?
I'm just saying. Guys.
We don't want to open up the books now. We don't want to open up the books.
I'm just saying.
I do agree. Like, at your level right now, you're your own boss.
Not me. Not me.
Oh, you outlier. Yeah.
Not me. I'm saying on the undercard, so that takes me out of the equation. So how much? All right, how much you think? You know, what I mean, they
Okay,
making?
so let's say the beginning level. There are boxers that are making.
No. I'm saying
$2,000-3,000.
this show.
Yeah.
How much you think they making? Cause y'all do 1-on-1. You win, you get this. You show up. You show up, you get 50,000. You win, you get another 50,000. You get the knockout of the year. You get another 25.
Let's say that as across the board. Let's say for entry level UFC fighters, you entry level, you first fight in the UFC, you might be making 10 and 10. You go out there and win, you $20,000.
Right.
To where there's boxers that are maybe 7, 8, 10 and 0, still making 20. They tell them, hey, you want to fight this fight? All right, 2,500.
Okay, so
3,000.
All right, so
that's all I mean.
Okay, so let me break it down to you.
All right.
Okay, so the UFC,
Right.
that's like the top of the top. You got to work your way up to the UFC. You just can't go into the UFC.
Facts.
So it's boxers that's coming out the Olympics getting a signing. But I'm saying getting a signing bonus that's
can't really compare.
You know what I mean? Okay, so all right. So those little fights is the fights that you fighting that's not MMA. I mean, not UFC.
Right.
You can be pro and not be in the UFC.
Facts.
So we talking about the big stage. So once you make it to the UFC, you in the big leagues now.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So we talking big leagues. So for me to be when I make it to the big leagues, when I'm on TV, I'm making more than you making when you come into the UFC. So you got to compare apples to apples. You can't say, all right, well, this guy first fight in the UFC. Well, what did he do before the UFC? How many fights did he have before the UFC?
You got a good point. And I see what you're saying. But even that, you know, since we own it, what's up? I mean, you get big checks. I mean, you want to, and don't get me wrong, you wrestle. You could do a little something. I think you are one of the few, especially coming from where you come from, and I don't know your childhood, but I'm assuming you wrestled growing up. So you one of the few. I think you could sprawl and brawl. Why you ain't thought? Because you get big bags where you at now, but I mean, you decide you want to slide through.
Man, I'm
saying you decide you want to slide through.
You trying to throw elbows?
No.
You trying to throw knees?
No, I'm not trying to.
The right fight.
Stomping on the feet.
You and Connor. What you thinking? You and Connor. That's the same weight.
Don't kick me, man.
Right. Connor
kick me, Connor.
Connor do kick.
Connor, don't kick me.
Yeah, but on the contrast too, Terence, it's like in the UFC too, and this is something that I do, you know, since the Fort Belt era kind of started. It's almost like there's one thing that we can't say about the UFC. It's like there's no running.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How long did you have to go out there and literally chase a guy like Earl Spence before you made it happen? 5 years. How long did Floyd Mayweather had to fight Manny Pacquiao? 7 years. In the UFC, Dana White's like, you know what? You don't want to fight? Give me your belt. You know what I'm saying? So it's the reason. You know, of course. Do we wish we had? You know, do I wish I could look at this dude? You know, from top to bottom, Gucci.
Yeah, relax.
Do we wish we had like do we wish we would get paid box money? Yeah, but there's also a pride to be able to say that I'm also fighting the best competition at the right time. And I think that's one of the things that's missing in boxing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's somewhat of a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
There's a competition side, but then there's also the financial side too.
I can agree with you on that, and that's one thing that I've mentioned that's wrong with boxing nowadays is we got too many champions in a division where nobody knows who really the champion is because you got 4 different champions. So if I can walk around saying I'm the lightweight champion, you, and then this guy, who's really the champion? Because I'm looking at 4 different champions. Yeah, that's the thing. But UFC do have a good way of putting on the best fights at the right time. And not only that, one thing that I love about UFC is that a guy can lose and still be supported.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays in boxing, Floyd made it to where you lose, like, they kicking you to the curb and all, you's a bum, you this, you that. It's like, man, dude lost to a good fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But Floyd, he left with an unblemished record, and he set the bar high. Right. So now everybody is trying to protect the O because you get one loss, now you got to go way to the back of the bus, and now it's like, dang, your shine is off now because of the fans and the media, how they go around. Back in the days, these fighters fought each other 2 and 3 times.
Right.
I lost to him, I beat him. They doing trilogies. Right. You don't never see that no more.
Do you attest, and I exactly what you just said, I think it goes hand in hand with, if you have 4 guys walking around saying they're the champion, I'm a lightweight champion, and then everyone's trying to stay away from each other so they can continue to just defend and say I'm the champion against different guys, don't you think that goes hand in hand with especially with the UFC system, to where it's, who the champion is, mm-hmm. that one belt. And so by you being that champion, if I do lose, I lost to the next up. I didn't lose to the third guy that says he has a belt and has been fighting just, they're mandatory from this governing body, as opposed to, I lost to number 2 guy.
Right.
Okay. So I bounce back, get another win. I'm still right there. I didn't just lose to anybody. So don't you think it's because we have these 4 different belts, you don't know who this champion is? Basically, it's a popularity contest. You don't know who that dude is. And then that dude loses that belt, then it's like, of course, you go way back to back of the line because it's 3 other dudes that are claiming they're champions.
Yeah, but I also think, though, come on, that's what makes Terence special, because he's done it in 2 weight classes. You know what I'm saying? It's like Lomachenko too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, David Haney, I forgot who he became, unified everything, but he didn't work his way through to say, hey, I'm the unified champion from the WBO, WBC, IBF. I'm missing one of them.
WBA.
Yeah, WBA. So I think that's what makes Terence truly pound for pound. I remember the first time watching you fight is when you beat Jeff Horn. I'm like, who the Jeff Horn is the guy
in Australia?
Yeah, Jeff Horn was the guy that beat.
I was getting ball before that. I mean, see, dude, right?
Jeff Horn was the guy that beat Manny Pacquiao, and he beat him, dude. I feel like in that fight, he got Manny off of his rhythm. It was a trip. So then the first time that I saw Terence fight, I'm like, who is this dude? Next, dude, he puts it on him. You end up stopping him. So that was the first. Fight that I had a chance to really see Terence fight, and man, I was impressed. But I think going back to your career too, like training for the Olympics. I don't know if we ever crossed paths, man. Were you in the Springs back in 08?
I was in the Springs in 07. 07, 06.
You were done before.
Yeah, so he was living out there.
Before. I came in there. Just wrapping up as far as your business side is now, How is it now? And do you think this is something that in the future will kind of turn into kind of like a UFC system? How is it now you working with guys like Turkey?
I think, I mean, Turkey is great for boxing. He's stirring the boxing game up and, making all the fights that the fans want to see. He's a big fan, so he's able and capable of doing things that the promoters can't and don't want to do. A lot of fights that we want to see, but we don't want to pay for.
Right.
He's paying it. He's paying the fighters what they want.
Smiling a little different nowadays.
No, I'm just saying. I've been smiling good.
you been eating good. You smiling
full of gold. You go all gold, all gold.
Nah,
you see how relaxed his shoulders is back there on the couch.
I see. This is the thing. Like, man, I got a lot of investments, a lot of smart investments. So coming up, I was smart with my money, so a lot of people would say, oh, well, he only fighting one time a year because I can wait out, my opponent or wait out whoever because I never was starving for money. A lot of fighters, they have to fight. I don't, and I've been saying that for a few years now. Like, I could have retired 3 years ago, and been comfortable. So I think just being smart with your earnings is the key, to success. Learning from the previous fighters that came before me was the biggest thing that I could have ever done in my life, is learning that, what matters and what don't, what to stay away from and what to get into and what not. And that will led me to be successful outside of boxing.
I love that about you, because even just kind of going back into your personal and your upbringing out there in Omaha. A lot of people don't know about Omaha. They Omaha, that's in Nebraska. They sleep on Omaha a little bit. But learning about your upbringing, it sounds like you've been grounded ever since the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about that, because like I said, if you were growing up in Omaha, you 36 years old, like the Perkins, Ravon Perkins, and them.
They're my little brothers.
See, I'll tell you,
why do the Perkins sound familiar?
Yeah, they was the boys that was rocking Fargo back then.
Oh, no way.
4-timers, 3-timers.
Yeah.
I might have wrestled one.
Yeah.
He should be wrestling today. Greco, they'll go to the Worlds.
Yeah, so when I say, like, if someone wanted to really make that shift, yourself, Lomachenko, you're amongst some of the guys that I think could make that. Just for to let the people know, hey, I could do it all.
Oh, I definitely could.
Exactly. I done seen you sprawl on somebody. But just talk a little bit about that upbringing. How was that growing up? Because I know a little bit about your family, keeping your mom and your pops, kind of that family dynamic. How important was that for you to just kind of keep you grounded to the man that you are today?
Well, growing up in Omaha was, it was tough, especially, when you're looking around and your friends getting shot, you getting shot, they going to jail, some of them getting killed, and, just the drugs and the violence around you. Like, growing up, you want to separate yourself, but everything around you is negative, and you don't have that father figure to pull you into the right direction. Your mom, she's working, so you out playing with your friends, that's all negative, that's getting into a lot of things. So you got to make a decision on your own, and sometimes you make the wrong decision, and sometimes you got good people in your life that see the talent in you, that pull you and wrap their hands around you like, hey, man, you got too much to give to be doing the things that you're doing. Granted that I always looked at myself as a leader. I never drunk, I never smoked. I never, you know what I mean, had to do the things that my friends was doing because I always felt like I was the leader. I was the one. So when we out shooting dice or kicking it, I'd be like, all right, y'all, man, I gotta go to the gym. They'd be like, all right, man, go work out. Never, not one time have any of my friends ever been like, oh, no, man, don't go to the gym, come with us. They'd be like, all right. Or sometimes they'd be like, man, it's about that time, man, you gotta go. Because they seen that I had, you know, something special.
Right.
And when I started playing football, basketball, and wrestling and stuff like that, and I wasn't boxing, then it was just like we were all with each other. But once I started back boxing and got serious, then it was just like, man, I'll take off like that. I'll go run to the gym, you know, or my coach will come and pick me up. It got to the point where when I came home from school, my coach was waiting on me to come and grab me because he was like, man, you getting in too much trouble in the streets. Come on, let's go. So I'll be at his house for hours until we go to the gym and just watching boxing.
But speaking about a little bit of that, you've rolling the dice, and I saw this interview recently with you. How you ended up getting shot in the head, man.
Yeah.
I think it was, which is, I don't think you've ever brought it up. Like I don't think you ever wanted kind of that publicity. But I feel like recently, like, and that's, you know, obviously I followed you quite a bit, but you talk about a little bit of that day where, man, you probably shouldn't be sitting on that damn seat. I mean, they do want to take you out from you sitting in your car counting your money, next year, no, bah!
No, it wasn't even like that. That's why I don't even like to talk about it because, you know, I like to keep it positive. You know, it's something that I overcame. It's behind me. And I just, you know, look forward to the future instead of the past. And it wasn't like somebody just came up and shot me in the back of my head and stuff like that. No, it was just a rival neighborhood that, you know, came up, started shooting, and shot me and my homie. You know, I got hit through my car, and he was outside, and he got hit. So,
yeah. Was he okay?
Yeah.
No, I completely get that, and that's something that I understand about you a little bit. What I see is, and that's probably why we haven't crossed paths all these years. But is you seem very reserved and you seem pretty private for the most part, which except obviously the people in your circle that really know you. But when you get to this level and you are who you are now, I say this all the time, it's okay because representation is very, very important. Think of all the kids from little towns like Omaha that don't feel like that they matter, that they can ever do something as spectacular as what you've done, and that are in situations like you were in at that point. They don't know a way out and they don't see a way out, and they might not have a father figure or that coach figure in their life to really help them out. So imagine them running into, especially now that we're all so connected through our devices, imagine them flipping through something and they see a little interview and they're like, oh, I know that dude, that's Terence Crawford, that's the bad boxer. And then you talking about your story about, I went through this. So I feel you being private, but because you are the super, and I say it all the time, with great power comes great responsibility. And that responsibility for you is the fact that you are who you are now. Pound for pound, world recognized. And so there's kids that want to hear that. So I know you private, but it's okay to share that because now we know. Them kids know, like, oh, man, if he can do it, shit, I might be able to do it too. And next thing you know.
Yeah, or at the wrong place at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Like you just happen to be a victim sometimes.
Yeah,
that almost seems like a little bit.
Yeah, and then they, oh man, that, you know, then you 50, you know, you somewhere chilling, then somebody walk up to you and say, hey man, thank you for sharing this story. Thank you for talking about that, because that day I was struggling through that, and that changed my life. Yeah. And you're in a position now, and I want to know, how does that feel to be in a position to where, bruh, you are looked at now as, yo, that you are looked at as that figure that could affect change with what you do, how you carry yourself. How is that? Is that a lot of pressure for you?
No, not at all. For the simple fact that I knew I'd be in this position. You know, once I changed my life around, you know, don't get me wrong, I still have my friends that's, you know, doing what they doing, but we don't kick it and stuff like that, but it's all love. But at the same time, once I changed my life, you know, it was different for me. You know, I am who I am. That's what I always say. It ain't on me, it's in me. So I know what I'm capable of. I know who I am inside, outside. So I don't have to walk around and portray to be somebody that I'm not. I don't have to put on a front. I don't have to put on a show for social media or for attention.
Right.
You know, I feel like nowadays a lot of people are doing things just to put on a show for people to start taking notice of them and people to hate them or whatever the case may be. But that never was me.
Right.
You know, I always felt authentic. Like, I am who I am. I don't want to be nobody but me. Coming up, a lot of people used to always ask me, who your favorite fighter, who you want to be like, and so forth. And I'll just be like, man, I want to be like me. I like this guy, but I want to be like me. I don't never want to be like somebody else because I always felt like I was put here to lead, not to follow.
Right.
Yeah. 08, you missed out on making the Olympic team, became a professional. Years later, you become, you know, you win weight classes. You know, you won the championship, unified in junior welterweight and welterweight. And now you recently just went up to 154 pounds and fought Israel Madrimov. You know, I watched the fight, and obviously, you know, people were saying it was, was it a close fight? I had you at least winning by 4 rounds.
Facts.
I really did, man. And I think if anybody thinks that you lost, I'm like, dude, you either don't like him or you're just not biased. But I can clearly say that you did win by at least 4 rounds, which is a clear win to me. We had Canelo Alvarez on the show. I don't know if you saw it. That's why I freaking sent you a message like, hey man, we got to get you on. And personally, Canelo Alvarez thinks you're not a 54 pounder. He believes that your real weight class is for you to go back down to 147 and just stay there. In other words, you say, nah, he's too small. What's your take on that?
Well, that's his take. You know, there's a reason why Israel was so respectful in the fight. If you watch the fight, he did more feintings than punching. You know, anytime I let my hands go, he either grab me or move. You know, for the bigger guy, you should have been walking me down. You should have been bullying me if I'm not supposed to be in that weight division. You know, Canelo can say what he say. You know, he have the right, but
he just doesn't feel like you're a 54 pounder. He believes that your real weight class. And again,
my real weight class is 168. It's not Canelo trolling. maybe. My real weight class is 168. You know what I mean? So I want to know. I just want to know if I'm too small for 168. Yeah. I just want to know. You know, a lot of people, my whole life, been doubting me. I know I'm small. I know I'm smaller than Canelo. I know I'm smaller than these guys and whatnot, but you know, that's the obvious.
Yeah, but Canelo's pretty short too. Canelo's your height too.
We're the same height. We're the same height.
Exactly, for a 68 pounder. Yeah. You know, but he is a freaking boulder. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a thick kid.
Yeah, we know that. That's something that we all can see. Right. You know, that's nothing that don't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, we got to see.
So you in a position right now to where it's like you said, you your own boss. You getting those checks now to where it's not, I don't necessarily have to conform to go over here just because I know I'm gonna get a little bit more over there. So Canelo is saying you're too small for that. You've been through everybody there was to go through at 140. You went through pretty much. You went through the big shark. You know, at 147.
I was too small for Spence. I was too small.
I'm
for Madrimov.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, cause me and EJ, we kind of, you know, I know EJ a little bit. You know, I knew him a little bit longer. I met EJ way back when I was training at the training center. So me and EJ kind of kept a loosely relationship. So I'm gonna ride for, just like you gonna ride for your dogs. And I'm one of those that doubted at first, because you don't know unless you know.
Right.
I seen you get the belt off the Jamaican dude, I believe, right? Was it Jamaican dude when you won the title? A while back when you won the title, I think you were knocked down. I think you might have been knocked down.
No.
I think which fight was that?
Come on, you watch.
Somebody else.
The only Jamaican I know is Walters, dude.
Oh, you ain't never been down? Not Walters,
right?
But this is way back.
Nah.
Who'd you win the title off of?
Which one?
The first title.
Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn?
Yeah, at 147,
Yeah,
Jeff Horn.
147. No, you fought Jeff Horn in Australia.
No, I fought Jeff Horn at MGM.
Who you fight in Australia?
I never fought in Australia.
You got some vodka. You got some vodka in this shit. What's going on?
That was Pacquiao that went over there and fought him over there.
You sure that
I seen a fight where I'm like,
you couldn't have.
You had to battle back. I see you had to battle back.
No. I know which fight you're talking about. You're talking about that fight with Sean Porter, and I was very impressed with that because somebody came up to you. Somebody came up to you.
Nah, it wasn't Sean Porter. Because
somebody told you, hey, you're losing the fight, which you weren't.
Yeah.
And you came out and finished them.
Right.
Yeah, I at first I doubted a little bit. And then I started seeing you work. I was watching.
I want to know who you talking about. I got dropped by a Jamaican
That's what I'm
guy.
trying to figure. Let's pull up the record. I remember seeing you battle back. I'm like, okay, who's the first?
He's stereotyping now, dude.
I never got knocked down.
Never been down.
No.
Never.
No.
Hurt.
No. Gamboa hurt me. That was at 135.
No, it was an earlier fight. It was a while back. I don't mean it was a while back. That was when I first seen you fight. And then I started paying attention more and more. Then I started seeing you switch stance. I'm like,
no,
he switched stance because I feel like you. What's your original? Are you an original southpaw? You learned from that, or are you an orthodox fighter?
I'm orthodox.
That's what I feel like, and I seen you switch spot, and when I see you bite down on that lip, you know I know how he is from when something really gets you to a certain point when you want to go in, you bite down, and you turn southpaw, and I seen him start. I'm like, he got that dog. It's a different type of dog. Because he been through something.
Yeah.
It's a different type of dog that you put on dude. But it wasn't the Sean Porter. Because I seen what it did to Sean Porter.
No, for sure. But Terrence's style is very tricky because his right hand is just as good as his left. You know what I'm saying? There's rarely do you see fighters that produce the same power as a switch hand. Like we're orthodox too. Right. But you imagine switching a southpaw and then your jab is pretty much the heavy right hand that you have. And I think that's what makes Terence, his ability to be able to cut angles, his little feints, his demeanor, his composure, to be able to attack people. But going back to 154 pounds, do you want to unify? I mean, I know you've had beef with the Charles, and I don't know because of what happened there.
What's next?
But what are you planning on doing? Are you planning on unifying the belts at 54? Maybe trying out 60 before potentially hit up to 68, or is this just straight? Or you just want to straight up shotgun 54, 68?
That's what I want. That's what I want to do. You know what I mean? Because I'll just look at history. This is a legacy fight. And it's the biggest fight in boxing right now. A lot of people might say, oh, well, we want to see Benavidez, Canelo, but to be real.
You don't want to see that?
Yeah, as a boxing fan, it will be a fight to see. Don't get me wrong. But to be real, Terence Crawford, Canelo is the biggest fight in boxing right now today. There's no other fight out there that's bigger than Canelo.
So you think your fight would do bigger numbers than Benavidez Canelo?
100%. let me tell you. African American, Mexican, they always made for the biggest fights in history. Going way back to Pernell Whitaker, Chavez.
Yeah.
You know, so it's gonna be, you know what I mean, electrifying. You know, I can easily go fight Virgil Ortiz or Fundor or whoever to, you know what I mean, make a quick buck or make a quick little penny, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. You know, this is a legacy fight. This is a generational fight, you know, that will be talked about for years.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm gone, they'll talk about, man, you remember Crawford coming up to 168 and fighting Canelo, you know, 2 top 5 pound for pound fighters in the world in their prime, fighting each other. Like, man, that's...
Yeah, but I also feel, Terrence, that Canelo's just in a different place, man. I think he's, you know, when we had the little interview with them, you know, we talked about Benavidez. Like, yeah, I'm just, you know, I just don't want to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's almost like he's picking his fights.
I think Benavidez disrespect him to a point where he just don't like him.
Yeah, but
and business wise, he like, I'm not giving you that check. Right. I'm not giving that ticket. That's why he say, you want payday, you want payday. You know, that's why he like to.
Yeah, but what do you do if you're Benavidez, bro? Like he's Terrence. He's the mandatory one, bro. He's earned the right. A lot of people think if you go up from 47 to 54 to 68, they'll be like, nah, this talk of, you know what I mean? Like people are gonna be like, dude, this dude sounds cherry picking. And I'm not saying you don't deserve it, Terrence, because you're that fucking good.
The bells don't matter.
I promise you.
When you in his situation,
right?
The belts don't matter. That was like Floyd Mayweather. Who gonna tell Floyd Mayweather a belt matter? They make belts for you at that point.
Right.
You know, the belts don't matter. Once you get to a certain peak in your career, you outgrow the belts because you got to pay for the belts anyway. Absolutely. Like, I'm going to give you these belts. They going to come and watch me regardless. You know? So now it comes to a point where we negotiate the percentage of the belts. Because we got to pay for the belts. How can I be champion of the world and I got to pay you to be champion? So when you get to them points, you can have them belts.
Right.
That's why he don't care.
In line with that, speaking with Canelo felt the same. He feels the same way about Benavidez. He feels Benavidez is fighting in the wrong weight class. And just so happens, your fight, was that on the same card or was that a couple of weeks apart? A couple of weeks apart. To where he felt the same. Benavidez, when he went up to fight at his right weight class, it didn't take him 2-3 rounds to get the dude out of there. It took him some time.
He didn't get him out there.
Exactly. And he felt the same way. He felt like, well, you see, that guy's fighting in his right weight class. Same thing he said about you. He said, you see, that's not his right weight class. And so me and Henry, I feel me and Henry kind of.
You want payday?
I'm just laughing because how can somebody tell you, you know what I mean, you fighting in the wrong weight class when he's been fighting in
exactly different weight classes, being able to bump up and bump down. But this is where I think me and Henry, because Henry want to see that fight. Henry is. If you ask Henry today what fight, if you put everything you had on it, what fight you want to see, Henry's going to say Benavidez Canelo. I agree with your statement. I think you versus Canelo probably does more numbers than Benavidez versus Canelo. I think they're probably both the two biggest fights that could potentially happen. But when you talk about Benavidez and Canelo, it's all Mexican. Everybody knows Mexicans love boxing. It's an all Mexican fight to where it's, yes, everybody's going to watch it, but you bring a different demographic, which boxing is deeply rooted in the African-American culture. Based on all the champions we've had, boxing is deeply rooted. So you bring a different demographic. Canelo's going to bring the Mexican demographic regardless. So I do think that fight does a little bit more numbers than Benavidez versus Canelo. But those are probably the two fights that I potentially want to see. But you're right. Canelo's in a position now to where he gets to pick and choose. Floyd did it. Chavez did it. De La Hoya did it.
All the greats did.
All the greats did it. And I think ties back into the 4 belts. When you're paying to fight for the belt, it's like, yeah, I get to a certain point.
I wish Turkey would literally just come in and just buy out all the governing bodies and turn it into one. I don't know if he's ever thought about that or would want to do that.
Probably.
But I think with all that money that he has, man, like I think he could do it. But speaking about Canelo Benavidez, would you ever, if you want to fight Canelo, would you ever entertain a fight with the Mexican monster David Benavidez? But you want Canelo. You
gotta understand. Like,
but I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't. You know,
my thing is Benavidez is a big dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother. You know what I mean? His brother was big when I fought him. But you know what I mean? Benavidez is a big dude. The only reason why I entertain Canelo is because he's not a big dude. Like, he might be thick, you know what I mean, but he's not a big dude. You know what I mean? Like, Benavidez is like 6 foot something, you know what I mean? Then he gonna come in 190, 200 probably, you know what I mean? Like, you never know. Like, that's a big dude. Like, you know what I mean?
And he's skilled, man.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I might as well go to heavyweight if I fight Benavidez.
Yeah. So what you're saying is like, because I felt that at one point when Volkanovski was champion, I had retired. You know, I had retired, and I was like, dude, the only fight that I would really want to come back for is to fight a dude. I'm 5'4". This dude's fucking 5'6", and he's pound for pound. Yeah. So that's, I understand what you're looking at. You're like, you know what?
You just size him up. Yeah. You just size him up, especially when you going into a bigger weight class like that. You know what I mean? You size him up and you see, you know, your advantages and his advantages. You know, I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. You know, he might got the size, the power. You know, I feel like, you know, I got the better skills, boxing skills.
How would you break that fight down? Like, how would you fight a bigger guy that's the same size as you? I mean, would it be more of a cat and mouse? Like, would you be using a lot of angles, a lot of power? The reality is, man, the reality is Canelo does put people out, dude. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously, he's talking about Amir Khan.
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not. Kovalev. Come on, we have to respect.
Kovalev was older.
The power of Canelo.
He does have power.
Goes through the body.
Don't get me wrong. He does have a lot of power. But all those guys that you name is not as skillful as me. I'm sorry. No disrespect to none of those fighters. But when you see the skill level, is night and day.
So how do you see a fight with Canelo going?
I see, you know what I mean, it's been a tough fight. Like, Canelo is a great fighter. Like, I always had respect for Canelo. I always, you know, liked it to watch him and things like that. I think he does a lot of great things in the ring. You know, I think he work hard. I think his work ethic is, you know, to the roof. But I just believe in my skills. I believe in me, you know, and the fact that people doubt me, it just fueled me even more just to try to get the fight even more. I remember back in the day, I was just like, man, they was like, man, would you ever fight Canelo? I was like, man, Canelo too big. You know, like, he in a different weight class. But then, you know, looking at it as a whole and looking at a lot of people like, man, you can't beat him. Then I'm looking at him and I'm watching him. I'm like, man, I can beat this dude. You know, like, and then everybody like, oh, man, you think you can beat Canelo? Oh, man, he too big. And I'm like, I've been fighting people bigger than me all my life since I was a little kid, you know? So I always been undersized, and I always came out on top, you know? So this is no different than anyone else in my eyes, you know? Yeah, you gonna get hit. It's a fight. He gonna get hit too. It's a fight, you know? But it'll be good.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it takes time for you to, because as you work and work and work, you say you have dreams. You say, oh yeah, I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be that champion. Or I'm gonna be this. But at the time when you're starting out, you don't necessarily know how it's gonna happen. You just, yeah, I could be that one day. But you don't ultimately, it's the work mixed in with the things that you say that kind of turns into the real belief.
See, where you just said that is what I never said. I could. Never, not once, when I was coming up, when I was little, when I was in the second grade, ever said I could. You know, when you used to write what you want to be when you grow up, I used to write, I'm going to be a world champion in boxing. I never said
It's
I
that
could.
belief in yourself. You
I always said
that
I am.
always. You are.
I am.
But that work that you put in, it slowly starts to, when you get in there and you perform, you're like, oh, well, yeah. Do you ever feel, because I know I put in work, and Henry, and this is the same thing for you. I put in so much work and put in work and work and work, and then I get it, because you're preparing for someone and you feel, oh, that's going to be a tough fight. That's going to be a tough fight. Then you put in so much work, and I know a fight that I could come to mind of yours recently, and then you get in there.
That shit easy to
it was easy to love.
Right.
So it's that turns it, that belief. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I knew I said I was going to do that, and oh, it's happening right now.
But going to the Spence fight, you know, I said everything that was going to happen.
I know, I was low-key
Years-
salty. I ain't going to hold you. I was
You know
low-key
what?
kinda-
We had
before it
talked
happened.
about
I
it.
was low-key tight.
I knew you
Years
were gonna
before it
stop
happened,
Right.
from what they was gonna say after I
He
beat
was
him,
Team
from
Spence,
what I
by
was
the
gonna
way.
do.
Of course.
He had
And
his
that's 'cause
he
me
had
and
his
my dog
pom-poms
ain't-
for
That's because me and my
Spence.
dog ain't. Oh.
It's okay. It's okay.
That's because me and my facts. And I'm gonna keep it 100.
I'm a
with you.
Spence fan.
I'm you're right.
Like people always thought like they thought I didn't like him and all that. I'm a Spence fan.
No, I
like
didn't
when we
realize you
the
were
build up,
always
I'm like, man, hey,
respectful.
let me get your autograph. You know what I mean? Because I watched you come up. I'm older than you, but I watched you, rooted for you when you was in the amateurs, when you was in the Olympics, all that, bruh. You know what I mean? Like you came when I fought in Dallas and Arlington. You was there watching me fight. You know what I mean? It's okay to say you a fan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, it's okay. Like I was a fan of Spence. Like I'm still a fan. I hope he do well and things like that. But like once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. And I'm like, dude, you're not gonna do that. Because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. You know, like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. You know,
Do you not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame?
right now, no, how?
Yeah, he's
And
right, dude. He's right.
How? You know,
You would
like
be-
he fought in one division. You know,
He never unified the belts.
He unified.
He did unify.
You know,
IBF.
he unified.
WBA, was it?
He
No,
had
but-
3.
Yeah.
He had
Yeah,
the
but
WBC,
he didn't unify all four. He
WBA,
wasn't
IBF.
undisputed.
Huh?
He
No,
wasn't
no,
undisputed.
He wasn't. No, but what I'm saying is, they already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. You know, he beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
Like I said, you know what I mean? That's a good
Right.
win. Like I don't wanna sound like I'm hating on him or, you know,
No, I understand
things
what you're
like
saying.
that, but
Right.
I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't got right now.
I have a good one for you. If Canelo gives you the opportunity to fight at 168 pounds, you and Tank Davis, you guys have gone into it a little bit. Would you be able to give an opportunity to a 35, 40 pounder to go up to actually fight you too? Would you be able to kind of give that back to somebody if you've been given that opportunity yourself?
And what weight?
Would you
154?
would you entertain it? Let's say 47. Let's say
I ain't going back down to 47.
you ain't going back down. You don't want to cut. You don't want to cut the weight.
I can't cut the weight.
47s is done.
It's
You're
over.
never. It's over. So
It's
there's not. So
over.
no fight with
Virgil?
Yeah, Virgil
at
Ortiz.
154.
Virgil. He's a 54.
Yeah.
Shit. Why did I think he was a 47?
Yeah, no, that
And
47.
what's your take with Virgil?
He's a
cra-
good fighter. He just, you know what I mean, got a
Dangerous.
He can punch. He can punch. but he was in a tough fight, his last fight. I honestly thought, he lost because they didn't count that knockdown, in I think it was the first round, but that dude gave him a good fight, but he showed heart and grit, and got back up and started, going back to work. But, that dude is gonna be tough to beat. You know what I mean? He came with a game plan and a mindset of, seek and destroy just like Virgil. So Virgil showed a lot of heart and grit in that fight.
Right now, who would you say? First of all, I want you to say
pound for pound list, Kush.
Yeah, I do. I gotta get your pound for pound list, your top 5. I gotta
pound for
get
pound
that.
list, and then pound for pound greatest boxers ever.
Dang.
5.
5.
And I want to tell you one, and I don't think you could dispute this one, but then I'll tell you.
All right.
Manny Pacquiao, 8 division world champion.
Cold.
Took chances. Fought everybody.
Well, let him give his list first.
Go ahead, my bad. I just had to because he's trying to go up, and I'm like,
he just put his.
But he can't.
No, but he asked me.
He can't put his list on my list.
Yeah.
Because I don't got Manny Pacquiao top 5.
You don't.
No.
8 division world champ.
All right,
8.
give me your pound for pound right now. We got
me, we got Inoue, we got Canelo, we got Usyk.
Did you put Davis in there?
Stop giving him his. Whoa, let my man give his list.
What you got to, man? Still no. It's like he's.
We can put Tank in there.
See?
Who you struggling with though? Who you struggling with? If it's not Tank off top, who you struggling with?
I was just thinking about, other fighters. But you can put Tank in there.
And what about the 5 greatest of all time, pound for pound?
Ooh, you got Sugar Ray Robinson, you got Sugar Ray Leonard, you got Floyd Mayweather, you got Marvin Hagler, you got Roberto Duran. That's 5 for you right there.
Really? You put Hagler up there like that?
Yeah. That dude was great. And it's so many more. Like you got Sweet Pea, you got so many other fighters.
But you don't put Manny up there. That's surprising to me, honestly.
It's a reason why he's not up there.
But
you
why?
should know that reason.
I want to hear from you. We talking to you.
Thank you.
Know from you.
No.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
It's your interview.
No. Man, Manny's a generational talented fighter. Like he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
Yeah.
Again, but I don't feel like, he did it on his own. That's me personally, because for the simple fact, when Floyd made it a point for him to do the blood test, he didn't want to do the blood test. But then when he did do the blood test, he haven't got a knockout since.
Godly, man, that shit breaks my heart, dude.
But he was aging though.
Listen, one thing for certain, 2 things for sure.
Fact.
What's the last thing that leave you? Is the power.
Right.
You may lose speed, you may lose athleticism, but that power gonna still be there. Look at George Foreman.
Right. That's the last thing I wanted is leave you is how do you see boxing now compared to, like you just mentioned, what was considered the golden age of boxing, Foreman, and all these guys?
I think boxing have evolved.
For the better?
Yeah, for sure. I think the fighters have got smarter. I think the fighters have pushed to get what they deserve. I think, the fighters is waking up and not just letting the managers and the promoters walk over them and steal from them. I think, boxing have evolved. When you got, things like the Muhammad Ali Act in place to protect the fighters. I think the fighters is, standing for something a little bit more than, a lot more than what they was back in the day. Because back in the day, they was, taking whatever. They didn't have nobody to say, hey, listen, they making this much money, off of you. You need to get this much or percentages and things like that. I think everything was based on a purse back in there. And here, I'm going to give you this and you going to get this. And that's that. I think boxing is, in a place where the fighters is gaining more control and leverage nowadays.
Yeah, well, Terence, I gotta give you my flowers before Kamaru, before we got to bounce to. But just congratulations, man, on everything. I used to do, I used to co-host Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, and we used to always talk about who's pound for pound. I always had you, over Canelo. So congrats on your success. I hope you get to fight at 168 pound against Canelo, and just continue to go out there and keep breaking records, dude, like you have been.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for you. Like I always felt that because we know so many like people too that it's intertwined, and even my journey, kind of looking at it and watching your journey from afar and see where you've come to now. I love to see it. I truly believe you are one of those type of fighters who, I don't know if you realize it, but the impact that you have, it may not come right away, but the impact that you have, you are one of those fighters that when you walk away, you will start to see people tell you, man, you did this, and did this, and what you've done, your accomplishment changed my life for the better. So I want to tell you, I've been watching for a while, even though, it might be off on the detail here and there, but I've been watching for a minute.
A lot of detail.
I've been watching for a minute.
I think you're probably thinking Aljamain Sterling, dude. That's what Jamaican, I know.
Jamaican. I ain't never fought a Jamaican. That's the crazy part. I don't think.
I'm going to put it together. I'm going to send it to you, too.
Send it to me.
But my man, you are that special, and I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for you to see where you end up with this. I hope you get that fight, and we're gonna be watching from afar, my dog.
Appreciate it.
Sure. I'm actually gonna be in Omaha. I don't know when, like maybe in a couple months. And if I am out there, I like to work with your boys, man.
Yeah, for sure.
With the wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. Hey, we could talk today now. I mean, I know where you at right now. You get big checks, but hey, if you ever we get the right opponent, I want to see it.
We can see it.
We can see it. I want to see it.
Man, them little 4 ounces. Ooh wee.
My dog, thanks for coming to have a conversation with us, man.
Appreciate it.
We've been waiting for it. We finally got to sit down and chop it up, man. Congrats to you, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Appreciate it.
I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C.
And we are out.